Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your favorite host, your girl, Amelia. I'm back with another episode of the Sip and Sip podcast. And tonight's guest, I have an artist all the way from Chicago, Illinois, but he is now in Los Angeles, California. Y'all give it up for artist Jay Foster. Hey, how you doing?
Yo, what's up? What's up? Thank you for having me.
You know, hey, it is my pleasure. When I read like your EPK, and I'm like, okay, I see him. He's out there in LA, has some great music that has been featured on like some of the biggest shows that are on right now. And we're going to jump into that. But Jay Foster, first off, you got to tell me, what does the J stand for in Jay Foster?
Yo. Okay, I'll give you the secret or whatever, but J stands for Jeremy. That's just my first name. So just shortened it up, keep it swaggy, keep it smooth. That was it. Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy. It's like a mystery because I'm like, Jay Foster. I'm going to ask him, what does the J mean in his name?
For sure. Yeah, it's only right. You got to know, right?
Yes. So Jay Foster, tell me how you got your start in the music industry.
Man, okay. So I guess I'll start from, when I first fell in love with music. So I started making music at like 12, 13. Basically,
Wow.
yeah. So I knew I could sing at 9, but I didn't really like take it serious. I just knew like, okay, I can sing a little bit, like still trying to figure out if it's something I can even do. And then at 12, 13, I met these two friends of mine, and I think I was in 7th grade. And so at that time I was still kind of experimenting, with singing and stuff. But long story short, they were rappers at the time, and I told them I sang a little bit, and they was like, "Oh, okay, sing something for me." And then from that point on, we began, creating music together. Fast forward, we were in a group for a little bit, but basically that was the point of me saying, "Oh, wow, like okay, I started songwriting, I started creating songs, and then that's when I was like, oh, okay, I can actually, do this. I can make songs. I can be an artist." So that short time, working with them and just going to the studio and create music at one of my friend's house. He had like a home setup at his place. So basically like that was kind of the start to the creation process. And then from there, obviously, I got older and continuing just to, sharpen my craft, sharpen my pen. And then, just basically from there, that was kind of like the beginning of it. And then, fast forward, here we are now. From Chicago, so that's kind of where I got my roots. And then I moved to LA. But basically like a year and a half ago.
Wow.
So still fresh. I actually work for a music licensing company as well. So just it's a lot. I'm probably skipping a couple things because I'll be talking to you for like an hour. Now, but it was just like I said, started at 12, went from there, kept sharpening the pen, and fast forward, here I am in LA. So
Wow, like that is like such an incredible journey. And I want to go back with you starting off at 12 years old. Me in my head at 12 years old, I was into boys. I was into like dressing up, basketball, like I was into like not like music, but not writing music. So when you talk about, writing music at 12 years old, and the first song that you wrote was called Notice Me.
yeah.
Tell me about that. At 12 years old, you writing this song called Notice Me. Tell me about that song and how did this come about?
Yeah, so man, so again, this was like a part of my, process of discovery, figuring out like, oh, okay, I can really write songs. So yeah, that was actually, the first song I wrote. And that's when I kind of knew like, okay, I can do this. So basically the backstory behind that song, basically when Chris Brown first came out, I think he was like 15, 16. Like that was, I wanted to be him, you know what I mean? I'm like 12, I'm like, studying this guy's dance moves, his music videos, his whole catalog. I'm just like playing it front to back for the whole 9. And so obviously I think the first song he came out with was Yo, I think. Or it might have been Run It, but
yeah, it was Running, and then Yo came like right after that.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep, that's what I thought. So yeah, so then Yo came out, and you know that was a classic. Like everybody know that's just one of his, you know what I mean, OG classic records.
Yes. To this day, that still gets played in the rotation
Come on
on
now,
my
like
phone. Like it is
yeah,
still a classic. And I was in college when that song came out. So it still get played. It gets played.
yeah, it's just a vibe, right? It's timeless. So yeah, that came out, and it was just something about that record that I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like I don't know. I guess I was just like captivated. I don't know what it was, but just it was different. It was fresh. Like nobody was doing what he was doing at that time, and so I was like, man, I want to do something like that. And then, literally, you know, obviously the song "Yo" was about him trying to get at a girl that he's feeling or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, what's up? Like I'm trying to talk to you, whatever, hop down. So then I'm like, okay, I'm finna make my own version of Yo. So I called it Notice Me. So it's similar, but it was different. I think at the time I had a crush on a girl at that time too. So it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I was able to kind of express that. And, he came out with Yo. So it was like perfect time. And I'm like, okay, I got
Yeah.
inspiration from a personal situation and I got a song to go off of too. So yeah, I just wrote Notice Me, a play off of Yo, and boom, the rest is history.
And the rest is history. And I gotta ask you, did she ever notice you? Did she know that you wrote that song for her?
Yo, I'm trying to think back. Like honestly, I don't even think I like shared the record with her, but I think the
Mm-hmm.
making the song it gave me the confidence to like, say what's up to her though. So I
Mm-hmm.
still, made her she noticed me. I still was able to, make her notice me in the end.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it
And
worked
if
out.
you if you could like rewrite a song today, with Chris Brown having Yo, and I feel like now is back in the day. If you could rewrite a song like Notice Me in Yo, what would you name it? Like something
Mm.
catchy, like what would you name it to get a woman's attention?
Ooh, okay, that's a good question. So you basically asking me if I could rewrite a song or rewrite the
Mm-hmm.
title, right?
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, okay, let's see. Notice me.
You
Maybe
know,
I
I had to put you on the spot.
yeah, you
You
definitely
artists, I
yeah.
have to put you on the spot.
You just put me on the spot. Maybe I would retitle Notice Me. Maybe I call it something else, something more fly. Maybe like Yo is like super chill, like it's just simple. Notice Me is like it's cool, but maybe it's not giving cool. I don't know. It's not giving like fresh enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It just ain't swaggy enough. So I probably would have titled it something else. Something more um smooth or you know what I mean.
Mm.
So,
I like that. For me, I would think that, we live in a digital age, a social media age, and everything it goes down in the DMs right now. You know
sure,
what I'm saying? If you shooting your shot, it's like
yeah,
shooting your shot in the DMs is now the new Notice Me, is now the new Yo.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
really, I mean, let's just be real. It is. It really is. Now, with you being an artist, and I know you mentioned one of your musical influences, like Chris Brown. Who are some of your other musical influences that have influenced you as an artist to be better, to write these songs and kind of hone in on your own special sound?
for sure. So definitely Usher. Gotta give it to Usher. Like
Yes.
that's the top OG for me. Like so yeah, Usher. He was actually like the first inspiration, but then when Chris came, I just put them both together, and then it was just
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Usher. Like I said, Chris, Neo. He came out around I think the same time.
Yes.
Chris too.
Yes, and Neo is one of my favorite male R&B artists. Like I love Neo's sound. I listen to Neo quite a bit.
Yeah, he's dope. I feel like I don't know. I feel like he's kind of slept on now. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think. Like he got his OG fan base, but I feel like when we talk about some of the top, newer R&B artists that came out
Mm-hmm.
later, I feel like he kind of, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like he's not as talked about now as he was.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, being in the blogs, he is very
Well,
talked about now.
well,
but
that's true. Well, yeah, for the
but I understand as
personal.
the music wise, it has kind of shifted
Yeah,
a little bit. He's not as you know he's still popular, but not as popular like he was, like always talked about, and people, hey, I'm going to a Neo concert and things like that. So I get what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. So with all of those, these are like all of R&B artists. Would you say that R&B is like your favorite genre? Because we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop, and I know with R&B mixed with a little hip hop, do you have any hip hop influences that kind of influenced you as an artist?
For sure. I mean, I would definitely say. I mean, I feel like especially now, in the current space of music, you got different genres fusing. You can
Mm-hmm.
hear R&B and hip hop, and
Mm-hmm.
every genre is kind of like crossing over, in some type of way. So, yeah, I definitely say, Drake's a huge hip hop influence. I know he does like R&B, and he
Yeah,
created his
he's very versatile,
yeah,
very versatile.
100%. So, I think that's what it is that makes me, you got to kind of put him up there, because he's versatile. He's rapping, but he's singing, and he's kind of he to me created his own sound, and like
Mm-hmm.
to me birthed a bunch of other artists that
Mm-hmm.
follow him. So that's somebody that, in terms of just like the melodies, his cadences, the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely influenced by a lot of that as
Mm-hmm.
well.
And I know that you grew up in Chicago, Chi-Town.
Yes, sir.
Who are some of your influences, from your home state, your hometown of Chicago? I love the sound of Chicago. It's something about the jazz, the hip hop,
Yeah.
drill,
Yeah.
just different genres. And so, with you being from Chi City, Chi Town, who are some of your musical influences?
Ooh, okay, for sure. Man, it's tough. It's tough. Obviously, this is gonna be super controversial. Well, before all the stuff came out, it would have
Hmm.
been, Kel's like super huge in Chicago. Obviously, like
Hmm.
culturally, what he's done for the city, R&B, but like obviously, I know all the personal stuff that's happened. So that's why I say it's tough. It's tough to kind of say it
Hmm.
now, but like growing up, that was obviously influence as well. For R&B, I mean, we talk about R&B, it's kind of hard not to
Hmm.
mention them. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
besides the controversial stuff, but yeah, Chance. I mean, I like Chance the rapper. Like he
Hmm.
rapping a lot, but he has that, like you said, he really brings that Chicago sound influence in his music with the gospel, the
Hmm.
blues, the jazz. Like he fuses it all together. So you got to throw Chance in there. A couple other artists I like Smino. I don't know if you know Smino. He's fire. Um, Aaron Allen Kane. She's super fire too. So a lot of the similar stuff is Chance adding that R&B with the jazz and the blues stuff like that. So
Hmm.
there was definitely a few that inspired me as well.
And that's dope. And you know what? I have never, heard of those artists, but it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and listen to them. My favorite artist, and I have to say his name, will always be Kanye West. Like
Oh
from
yeah,
Chicago, Kanye just really changed the game when it came to, hip hop.
yeah,
Even a little bit of R&B. It is like he has been, versatile over like all genres of music, and of
yeah,
course, with the controversy behind him. But you got to give Kanye his flowers. He did put Chicago on the map, such as R. Kelly,
yep.
even what is his name? I can't think of his name, but he's a rapper. Twista.
Oh,
Like, all of those like old school rap artists, even Common, I those are back in my genre, back in my day that I really, listen to. And I know like we talk about, your influences and people that you grew up listening to and inspired you to become an artist. The question I want to ask you is, on this journey as an artist, being an independent artist, how tough has it been for you to really put yourself out there? And I know transitioning from Chicago to LA, how has that transition been for you on your music journey?
For sure. Yeah. Man, it's definitely been an experience for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Took, coming from Chicago and coming out here, it's like two different cities,
Mm-hmm.
a huge culture shock. Just trying to get used to the culture out here, trying to
Mm-hmm.
readjust. There's a lot to like take in, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, just in general, it's definitely affected the journey, but obviously positively and negatively. But I think overall, it's just brought a lot of how can I put it? Just a lot of experience. I feel like I'm growing more though. I feel like definitely coming out here was a good move though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of like adjustment because it's just such a different city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just coming out here just gives me more
Mm-hmm.
things to talk about in my music, more experiences, more just things to add to the journey. So
Mm-hmm.
overall, just a great experience.
What have been some of your obstacles that you've had to overcome um, living in LA now as an artist?
Yeah, let's see, a good question. I would say I think just like one of the obstacles is just like trying to understand the how the like music scene is out here, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's definitely different from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
In some great ways, then in some other ways, um, I'll just say it's just different. So I think just adapting to the way things flow out here, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just different in how you find your community, find
Mm-hmm.
producers, finding your writers, people you want to work with. So I guess that's maybe one thing I would put as maybe an obstacle, just finding my crew out here, people that I want
Mm-hmm.
with, create with, stuff like that. Because I feel like without a team, you can only go so far. So
Mm-hmm.
I think just meeting
Mm-hmm.
the people. So now that I feel like I've done that, I feel like the music's flowing more, and now it's like, well, I got my groove. I figured out how the city work a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now we moving. So
And I love to hear that. Oftentimes you don't hear many artists really being real, like transitioning from one big city to another big city. And you see a lot of people. I'm from the South, born and raised in the South, and you see more people from the South. They matriculate to like Atlanta, they go to LA. You don't really see them going to Chicago or New York as much, but it like literally right in Atlanta or LA. That's where you will see a lot of singers, a lot of rappers matriculate. And even on your journey, we discussed the obstacles, but what about the positive things about your musical journey? What has been some of your biggest accomplishments so far on your journey?
for sure, yeah, yeah, I would definitely say just one thing that I think is really important, and I think a lot of other artists are starting to understand and see the value in is getting your music placed in sync.
Mm-hmm.
TV,
Mm-hmm.
film, commercials, all that. I feel like coming out here was one of the huge pluses. For that, it's just sync is really popular out here, and I've been able to kind of maximize on that and
Mm-hmm.
connect with other people in that space, and it's been able to kind of be a ripple effect in my
Mm-hmm.
career as well. I got a placement earlier this year on Zeus Network, Baddies West.
Yes,
Thank
congratulations. And we gotta talk about that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, we do. So yeah, that's just one of the great things that came out of coming out here. Just
Mhm,
connect more people in that space. Like,
mhm,
so I think that's just one of the positives for sure. A bunch of other
mhm,
things, but that's one thing I think is just super important. For
mhm,
artists that's you know like if you're not in that space like sync, you definitely gotta
mhm.
get hip on that for sure. So
And that's one thing like I love hearing about is that accomplishment, because hearing your song and it was on Baddies West on Zeus Network, popular show. I used to watch Bad Girls Club back in the day. That was my show on Oxygen. But of course, now they have Baddies. So, and even you have had other songs to be featured on Nashville on a major network. And I think that show used to come on ABC. Am I correct?
ooh,
ABC or Fox.
one of those.
I remember that show coming on, and it was really a dope show. How was that, that moment when you heard your song on a national show as well as one of the biggest shows on Zeus Network? How has that been for you? What was that moment like?
Yeah, I mean, so the first time it happened, which was the Nashville place,
Mm-hmm.
um, man, it was just super random. Like, I don't even know how to explain how to put it in words, but I was definitely just like, wow, like this is crazy. Like my song was on the show, and I watched the show
Mm-hmm.
and I heard it in the scene, and it was just like super
Were
crazy.
you, were you expecting your song to get played like on that particular episode on Nashville?
Man, so I knew about it in advance because the
Okay.
time I was working with a sync company at the time. Ooh, I'm blanking on the name. Centric Music. I think they went by a different name before, but now they're called Centric Music. So yeah, they were ripping one of my songs from the catalog. Um, and so yeah, basically they were just shopping the record around. Long story short, yeah, I guess they just someone from Nashville. I think one of the music supervisors from the show. I guess they had ties with them, and they liked one of my songs that was in the catalog at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then I remember I just got a random email from Centric saying, "Hey, like Nashville wants to place your song in this episode. We just need you to sign this paperwork, blah blah blah. Like approve it, make sure you down with it, all that." And I was just like, "What? Like, yeah, let's do it." And I don't know, it was just crazy, but I was in disbelief. Like I had to. It didn't really hit until like I watched the episode. I'm like, wow, like
Mm-hmm.
it really happened. Like
Like
everything.
like you weren't even expecting it
Yeah,
to blow up like that, let alone on a national
sure.
syndicated TV show.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it was just I don't even know. Even when they reached out to me, I saw the paperwork. It's still like I'm like, okay, is this really happening? And once I saw
Mm-hmm.
it, in real time on the
Mm-hmm.
show, like I'm like, dang, like that's crazy. So
Wow.
yeah,
So how did Baddies West come about? How did that? Because like I said, that is one of the major shows that is on Zeus Network right now, season after season, drama after drama. How did that come about that your song was being played on Baddies West?
yeah. So first off, major shout out to music supervisor Adrian Reeves, who works heavily with them. Long story short, I had actually met her through another good friend of mine who I met out here in LA. And so yeah, basically, I knew that she was, you know, always looking for different music to play,
Mm-hmm.
so kind of working with that camp over there.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, one day I just saw her like post on IG that she's looking for new music. So definitely had to, that's when you slide in the DMs. Sometimes you slide in, not always to, hop down, but to for business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I saw her post that she was looking for music for the upcoming season at the time. And I was like, oh snap, like, boom. So I, hit her up, submitted the track, and boom, she liked it, and bam, rest is history. Got placed on the show. So
Cause the song is dope. The song that ended up on Baddies was the song is dope. It kind of has that LA feel, that vibe, that R&B. Like the beat is like super dope. And I hope to hear more, from you. So Jay Foss, I gotta ask you, do you have any new projects coming up? A new album dropping soon? Because it is getting close to the end of the year. It's about to be cold outside. The music got to come out for the situationships, the booze and the bays, different stuff. So are you working on any new projects?
yes, definitely am. So I'm actually planning to drop a single before this year is out. It's looking like early November. So kind of pushed it back a little bit. I was hoping to drop
Mhm.
it in October, but it's looking like early November. So definitely still in time for cuffing season though, So
Yes.
so yeah, this song is called One of a Kind. And yeah, it's just a nice little slow vibe.
Mm,
It's definitely it's got a little romantic vibe to it.
mhm,
I think the ladies gonna love it. So
mhm,
that's who it's for. So
mhm,
definitely stay tuned for that. I'm excited to drop that. I feel like it's a new sound I'm going into. I feel like it represents where I'm at sonically, create.
mhm,
And you can definitely hear a lot more of that.
mhm.
Or and yeah, I plan to drop the EP next spring as well, and just expect
Wow.
a lot of music in 2024. for
A
sure.
lot of music, and I want to ask you, what was your inspiration for coming out with the new single that you're going to be dropping again um in November? What's the name of it again?
Yeah, it's called One of a Kind.
One of a kind. What was your inspiration? Like, who did you have, like, a young woman that inspired you for that song?
Man, so I guess I can't say specifically one exact woman. I'll say the song. It was definitely it was inspired by definitely personal experiences for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was a little bit of various experiences, right? And then I just thought about I don't want to give away too much of the record, but I just thought about where the landscape of dating is currently.
Mm-hmm.
It's it. So I had a lot to think about. I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
hey, different girls I've dated, but then also I'm thinking about just where we're at, with
Mm-hmm.
dating, like where it's at. So I feel like I just had a lot to kind of play off of. So, but yeah, it's definitely some personal experiences for sure.
Oh, I cannot wait because it is cuffing season. I'm trying to be cuffed by the end of the year, matching pajamas. So I need one of a kind to come out. So, a lucky man will know that I am one of a kind because I am a
Oh,
Southern Belle.
okay, okay.
Yes, yes. And,
You
and
know,
and when you just talked about, how dating is right now, that kind of inspired your new song. And I want to ask you, what do you think about the whole dating pool right now? Is it, for me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like it is dead, 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 dead. It's like no commitment, no nobody's just willing to, put in the work. What is your opinion on this whole dating pool right now, since you got a new song coming out that kind of inspired,
for
the
sure.
dating aspect of
Yeah,
everything?
and that's the thing, and I definitely touch on that in the song. Just a short tidbit, as I answer the question too, about the song, and more about what it's about. It's basically about, um, you know, from my perspective, there's this girl that I'm interested in, right? She's
Mm-hmm.
just her. Like all the other girls, I don't really care about. I just want this one particular girl. She stands out to me for whatever reason, the connection, the energy, whatever. And it's basically throughout the whole song, just me talking about how I'm trying to get this one girl that I think
Mm-hmm.
the one, like one of a kind,
Mm-hmm.
that's better than the rest. I'm trying to convince her to rock with me, but I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be strong either. So it's that that tug of war of like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling you, but I don't want you to think, dang, he putting too much pressure,
Uh-huh.
pressure. So, but then in the midst of all that too, I'm touching on at least from my opinion, which I'm gonna answer your question too. I'm touching
Mm-hmm.
on just where dating is at and what certain women might be looking
Mm-hmm.
for. You know,
Mm-hmm.
playing the field. Maybe she's trying to see what this guy's on, what I'm on,
Mm-hmm.
and so it goes into that a lot. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited to see what people think about it. But going into your question, um, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The dating market is crazy for both sides. I think the women are more feeling it more than the guys, maybe depending on how you're looking at it. Um, but yeah, I just think it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
like a war zone out here. I
It
think
definitely is.
yeah. So I think like it's a combination of
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like the right people are meeting the right people at the right time. I feel like all the people who are trying to lock in with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
they're unfortunately not meeting. They're meeting on people that don't want to lock in it. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
we're like the man and woman are missing each other. It's unfortunately
Mm-hmm.
coming across this girl that maybe she's scarred from the last guy and she's
Mm-hmm.
not healed and ready enough to date. But I'm actually the guy that really is trying to be about that, right? And so
Mm.
she got her barriers up. Now we can't even actually have what we could have because of the last guy or whatever. And then, same thing with the girl. Like she ready, she healed, but then she meeting a guy that ain't really healed or he not really trying to,
Mhm.
what he say, So I
Mhm.
think it's just a matter of we just meeting the wrong person in the wrong time. But I think,
I agree.
you know what I mean? But
I
we're all
agree.
out. You just gotta find. It's like a diamond in the rough. One of
Mhm. Oh,
gotta.
I like that. A diamond in the rough. And like your song says, one of a kind. A diamond in the rough is one in a kind.
Exactly. And that's literally, that's also just a part of that too. It's just like, you the one I'm trying to get. The rest of them, I'm good. I need this one right here. So, you know, yeah.
And I cannot wait for that song to drop because you family now. So you got to come back on the Sip and
Sure.
Sip podcast to talk about your new single that's coming out November. Is it going to come out in the beginning of November, or the end of November?
Man, it's looking like middle of November.
Middle of November. So we're gonna be on the lookout for your new single, One of a Kind. And plus, you said your EP will be dropping in 2024. That
Yep.
is the big year 2024 of your EP. Do you have a name for your EP right now that you can spill the tea on the Sip and Sip podcast?
I do. I mean, I might change it, but for now, it's called Stay a While. For now.
Stay a While. What was the inspiration naming it Stay a While? What does that mean for you and to you?
Yeah. So the inspiration behind that is, um, yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like the space I'm in, and what
Mm-hmm.
I, new fans, new listeners. It's basically like just me saying, hey, like when you hear this, I want you to stay a while. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you hear the new music, like, rock with me for a minute. Like,
Mm-hmm.
stay around for a long time, not just a good time. Let's go on this journey together, kind of thing. And
I love it.
yeah, and I just think that's just where I'm at with everything in my life. Like, I'm trying to build real connections with people
Mm-hmm.
for a while, not just like just a here and there, hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I love that it's different. Stay a while, and it's like where you at, like you said, in this moment, and having that peace, in your music, and have peace in your life, and you're trying to live each day and live it to the fullest, and enjoy the moment, enjoy the time that you have, right now. So I cannot wait to hear that new EP dropping next year in 2024. And I usually before I end every interview, I always ask people that I interview, what is something that you live by each and every day, or what is like a gem that you can leave with our viewers and our listeners, that you live by each day?
ooh, that's a good question. I would say, hmm, I would say, live with purpose, live with intentionality. Like,
Mm,
but I feel like everyone, in the end, I think we're all searching for a purpose or something to make life worth living, right?
mm-hmm,
That thing that no external thing can give you, that peace,
mm-hmm,
joy. I think purpose is tied to that a lot. And I think a lot of times when you lose sight of your purpose or whatever purpose you're looking for, you kind of
mm-hmm,
get lost or stagnant. And so
mm-hmm.
me living a life of purpose is finding your purpose, that I feel like we all kind of have a specific purpose. So I feel like finding, what God has placed in you
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
like to be like your goal. And I feel like once you find that, just live your life through that every day, and don't take it for granted. Because it's a lot of people that still haven't found that yet, and they're kind of lost. So I feel like,
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. That's like a good gem. That is going to be what I, read about this week and really touch on and hone in and kind of hit home for me. We all have a purpose, and our purpose is to continue to fight for that purpose and continue to let God lead us. And I believe that we all have different purposes in life, but we all have more than one purpose.
sure.
And so I love what you said about that. Jay Foster, it has been a pleasure having you on the Sip and Sip podcast. And before we leave, drop all of your social media, anywhere that we can follow you, we can support you, because I know One of a Kind is coming out next month, and we want to know how to keep up with you so we can know when it comes out.
For sure, I got you. Yeah, so you guys can follow me everywhere on all socials at It's Jay Foster. Yeah, that's Instagram, Twitter, everything, TikTok, the whole nine. So yeah, your boy Jay Foster. Lock in with me, stay a while. Let's build together, and definitely stay tuned for the One of a Kind single coming out next month. Peace and love. And thank you for having me again.
Yes, thank you so much. You family now, so you got to come back. You got to come back when the single drops, when the album drops. So we're going to have to bring you back. And again, you all, thank you so much for listening and watching the Sip and Sip podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Sip and Sip Podcast, as well as you make sure you add us on Apple Music. I said Apple Podcast, not Apple Music, but Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google. We do have a Facebook page that is going to be coming very, very soon. And if you would like to be on the Sip and Sip podcast, you can hit us up in our email. It will be right here in the description. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.